Okay. I think I'm recording. Let me make sure. Yeah, okay, I'm recording now, everybody. So to find a Jamboard, to create a new Jamboard, I'm going into my Google Drive. I've clicked on New, and then under More, I get all these other options, and feel free to play with all of those great things. There's Google Jamboard. Sorry, somebody's coming into the meeting. Let me just let them in. Okay, so I get what's called an untitled jam, just like I get any untitled document. Just think of this as, I think of it as like kind of like a slideshow. That's basically the idea. So I'm immediately going to name it, worksheet, whatever. And as I was talking about this with Crystal, if you're sharing with your colleagues a lot, it's probably a good idea to call your master your master. That way you know that this is your original. Use whatever terminology you like. So I've got my worksheet master. Now, I didn't show you how to put it directly into a folder. I just saved it, and it's going to be just in my Google Drive. I don't really mind that. I can always move it into the correct folder later. So here we are in a Jamboard, and we've got our blank screen. We can create a background if we want to. So I like, if I'm doing math, I like to make a grid background because it looks more mathy to me. And you're going to, or you can take it out, or you can put black if you want, whatever you want. So there's my blank background, and I want to now bring in a worksheet. So to bring in a worksheet, I'm going to go to the image. I'm going to add an image, and I'm going to select a file from my device. So I had already saved these files, and that's why they're already here. Oops, sorry. Okay, so here's my, I originally had page 334 and 335 as full sheets, but I decided to crop them and cut them. So you're doing that when you're using your snipping tool and you're grabbing your worksheet, you're gonna do that and save it here. I'm not gonna go over again how to save a snipping tool, how to save with the snipping tool because it's in the other video. So I've saved my little piece. I'm ready to put it into my jam. And there's my image. The way I've been doing it is I pop it up into the top left corner, and then I grab my corner bottom so that I can make it as large as I can on the page. It's up to you how you want to do it. Sometimes it's going to work if you did a slightly smaller piece, which I wish I kind of had. In fact, I'm going to do a smaller piece so I can show you. If you cut a smaller piece, you can actually fill the screen better with it. So that piece that I had used was kind of large. So I'm going to switch over to this piece. It's a little bit easier to maneuver. It's also the right shape. So when I go to stretch it out, I should be able to fill my whole screen with it. And there we go. So it's all in the size of the piece you cut. Now, my students, I wanted them to be able to come in. Sorry, there's a question in the chat. Can you change the dimensions of the Jamboard? No, not that I can find. And if you can find out how, that would be awesome. So those are some of the benefits of using Google Slides. So I should tell you that the Google Slide method is still excellent and probably really best suited to a language assignment because you don't need a lot of text boxes for a language assignment, right? You may just need to put one big text box on there. So I probably will still use the Google Slides option. This I chose to use because my students needed to draw on the worksheet and I wanted them to be able to do that freely. So I'll still be using both methods, just so you know. But this is the method that you can use where the kids can simply pick up the pen over at the side and work on it. So the task was that they had to shade. On the previous page, it said they had to shade the back face. So I'm going to go over to my pen. If you click on the little arrow next to the pen, you'll see options for the pen. You can have a pen, you can have a marker, you can have a highlighter, you can have a paintbrush. In this case, I think a highlighter makes a lot of sense, but you can play around with it. And I tell my students to pick a color so that it shows up. And you can see that the tool will automatically show me what my selections are. When I click away, it will remain as my selections. So if I have to shade the back face, I'll do this one, it's a little easier to see. With my highlighter, I simply go in and you can see the worksheet's not moving because it's meant to be drawn on. It's that in Google Slides, you're not really meant to draw on what you're using. And that's why you have to kind of position it in the background. If I want to fix up my work a little, I can grab the eraser, right, and do that. So this is both how to make the worksheet and how to use the worksheet. I will then put in, let's say I want to put in a text box on this. I'm going to instruct my students on how to do that. And that's why I've shown them to take a sticky note. Sorry, let me show you that again. Sticky notes are right here under the arrow. I'm going to take a sticky note and I'm going to make it clear. No background. And then if there was a question that I needed to answer, like how many faces are shaded, one face is shaded. That's a silly question, obviously, but just to show you how it works. So there I've made my sticky. I'm going to cancel get out because it lets you make more than one. And you can manipulate this a little bit and put it here. Then what I showed my students was instead of making a new sticky each time, they can simply click on the options, duplicate, put it next to the next shape, and you can say, two faces are shaded, or whatever you need to do to change your answer. If that makes sense. And that's how I've got them drawing on the document and adding text to the document. What I explained to the students is that if you click the clear frame button, it will clear the whole screen. But luckily we have our little undo friend, and so we can get it all back. So make sure you show them that. If they clear the screen, now, this is a bit of a trick. As soon as I click on my worksheet, do you see how the blue line showed up around it now and all my stickies disappeared? So they may freak out if that happens. They just need to click away from the worksheet. All right, if you click on the worksheet, you've highlighted the worksheet. If you lost all your stickies and all your stuff, just click away from it and everything will be there. Okay, so again, that's why Google Slides is more perfect. If you really need to make sure that they're not moving the worksheet around, do the Google Slides method. But if you need them to draw on it, you're going to want to use this method so that you can have a little bit more control over what they do. There's a question in the chat. This is the copy you are creating in your Google Drive. Yes. This is well before you make a copy to share with the kids. Yes, exactly. So this is my master, and the master is the one that I'm going to share with my students. So I'm going to erase all the work that I did on this because I wouldn't have all that on there. And this is my worksheet. So now I want to add another part of my worksheet. I could only put a piece of it on because this has only got enough space. So up here in the expand frame bar, I can add another frame. When I add another frame, it's just like adding another slide. I can go in and insert, add the image, and find the next piece of my worksheet that I saved in my folder. And these things are just saved on my desktop, like in my home computer, rather than in my Google Drive. But you can certainly put them in your Google Drive, and you can find them from there. So here's a little one, and I can make it as large as I want to. And then what I did, I actually had this, it was all in a row, but it was hard to see, so I cut it into 2 more pieces. So I'm going to actually bring in the second piece of this worksheet. To just play around with the sizes of things. Again, if you weren't on the call before, Thane has indicated that he is hopefully going to be getting us some materials that we can use for math so that we don't have to create all of this stuff from scratch. But for now, while you're doing it, so now I'm just going to bring that in, and I really wanted that square to be, sorry, that cube to be bigger. So I put it like that on my screen so that, sorry, on my worksheet so that my students could work on it better and be able to shade on it more easily. So now I've got my second page done. If I wanted to, let's say for some reason I want to use this again, but I want to take the picture away, for example, I can duplicate this frame. Up here in this area, you click your options and click duplicate, and then you have a second version of the same frame. When you click on that one, how do you know you're on the right one? Up here it says 3 out of 3, so I know I'm on the third one. I can go in and I can just, let's say I wanted it, but I don't want the instructions anymore. I wanted to just have this guy on here by itself, and that's just a faster way. I don't have to reinsert my images because I've just copied over my previous frame. Now that I'm finished with it, again, I'm not making copies, but if you wanted to make a copy for a colleague to use, you can do that over in Google Drive. So I'm finished with this, and I'm going to close it. Now I'm going to go into my assignments back in, oops, sorry. I'm going to go back into my regular classroom, go to my classwork, and I'm going to create a new assignment. Sorry, you guys are blocking my plus sign. There we go. Create an assignment. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to say my title is whatever, math worksheet. I'm going to type some instructions in here, and then I'm going to add from my Google Drive the Jamboard that I just made, just like I would add any other file. And luckily it goes in my recents, which I love. So there it is. And I changed my settings over here to make a copy for each student, decide on my topic, you know, just like any other assignment. And it works exactly the same way. And then you just go ahead and assign it, or you can schedule it to be assigned at a later date. And that's how you make a worksheet using Jamboard. I'm still recording, so if you have questions about this specifically, we can answer them now, and then I'll be able to stop the recording and we can ask other questions. Anyone? Okay, I will stop recording. One sec. Oh wait, there are questions in the chat. Let me check that first. I'm curious to know how it will be seen by the students. Does it show one page after the other? The view is exactly the same as what you see, because you're actually seeing what's a collaborative space. So if you see it, then they see the same thing. The only time you have a different view for anything in Google will be in the classroom, because you're seeing it as a teacher and they see it as a student. But every document that you create will look exactly the same for whomever is opening it. It won't make any difference at all. I'm just going to stop recording.